What's up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and thank you, HBO Max, for having this film that I already wanted to see. It's on my list, and now I got to see it. I'm talking about Get On Up! Get On Up is a 2014 film that was directed by Tate Taylor, and it follows the life and times and career of Mr. James Brown. James Brown is being played by Chadwick Boseman, and I just got a kick out of this movie all the way around. It was a little weird and jarring at first to see how the movie constantly flipped back and forth between the future and then the past and then the middle and then the past again and then let's go back in the future, and they do that throughout the whole movie, but I got used to that after a while, and I think they did that because of how charismatic, how over the top, how larger than life James Brown was. This movie does a decent job of humanizing him and showing where he came from, but it also plays up this character that he was, this person that seemed so far out in reach as far as what he did on stage, as far as what he innovated, as far as what he did. You know, I knew almost nothing about any of this stuff that I saw in this movie. So once you learn something from a biopic, I think that's where it gains so much points for me. But Chadwick Boseman, I can't say enough how great this dude was. It's a shame that after his death is what is having me watch all of his non-Marvel movies to see just how dynamic and how different he is in each and every single role, and how many real life people he's played in so many films. In a movie like this where he goes for it, you know, not only does you have the points where he's playing the younger James Brown and he's doing everything that he's doing, winds up in jail, has to get out, meets up with someone that would end up being his best friend, but he goes along the way making mistakes, but at the end of the day he was confident. He knew he was good at what he could do, and that's singing, that's dancing, that's being a showmanship. He knew that he could do it better than a lot of other people that he saw around him. And there's something about that that's compelling. Yeah, sure, he did some bad things along the way. And yeah, sure, the movie didn't shy away from showing that he wasn't that great of a husband either. Maybe not that great of a father, but there's something about how successful he was and how driven he was and how tunnel vision focused he was that you can't not help but be inspired by. You know, there comes a point where Chadwick, not only is he getting the voice so down, I mean, that voice is insane by how good and how much like James Brown he sounded like. How does Chadwick do this? Honestly, he's doing all the dance numbers on his own, the splits on stage and whatnot, and then later on when they have him wearing the makeup to look like an older James Brown, like he goes for it. He goes for it. His best friend, like I said, Bobby Bird, is played by Nelson Ellis, who I recognize and know from the TV show True Blood. If any of you guys have seen that show, he was Lafayette. But not just that, it's weird and eerie to see all of these scenes of the two of them together, knowing that both of these actors have passed away, because they're both so good. And Nelson, he's an actor that, like I said, I knew most from that show, but watching him here and how good he was here, it's a shame that I didn't see him in more movies, in more stuff. You know, why? What happened there? Maybe he got typecasted after the show, who knows? But Viola Davis plays James Brown's mother, who at first I thought she had a good warm side to her. And I'm not saying that she's like an evil person or anything, but where she ends up is heartbreaking, but more heartbreaking for James Brown and what she kind of ignored him for. But then his father too, Lenny James plays his father in the shack that they stayed in the woods, the abuse that he witnessed his father give to his mom, the fits of rage, drunken rage that his father went into every now and again. Man, what a life this guy has gone through. Octavia Spencer plays Aunt Honey, who she kind of runs a whorehouse basically, but she has to take in James Brown as a kid because he had nowhere else to go after his father went to the army. Dan Aykroyd plays his manager, who I like their relationship because Dan Aykroyd, all he really cared about was money. And he didn't care that James Brown was black. He didn't care about everything that came into that like the other executives did. No, Dan Aykroyd knew that this guy could bring the money. And that's what's most important, right? Jill Scott plays, I think, his second or third wife. He was the one that we saw how abusive he was to her, especially. That was a little hard to watch. Allison Janney has a random like one or two scenes that I just had to mention her because she says the N-word, so that was quite interesting. Craig Robinson is in the band, the James Brown band, who he's the one who seems to have the most issues with James and sort of speaks up the most out of all of them. And so his character was interesting in that way, and I was very surprised to see Craig Robinson here. And the music, James Brown's music, I'm not going to pretend like I know all of the songs or like every song, but I knew a couple of them, and I can see why he was where he was at this point in his career, how he was doing different types of music, how his music seemed to span far out, not just with black people, but with everybody, and how many millions of records he sold. It's crazy for me to see a black guy in the 50s and 60s, at a time where racism was probably at its worst, as bad as it is now. It was probably at its worst back then, but yet he still got as far as he did. He still carried himself as well as he did. He wore the expensive outfits, and he was a representative figure for black people, I'm sure, at that time. And so, once again, James Brown, look, you might watch this movie and think, yeah, man, this guy's kind of a dick in some parts and points, and I can understand that, but it's more fascinating to see where he came from, where he ends up, and what he meant for everybody out there. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this film, absolutely, if not just for the movie itself, but watching Chadwick and his performance. Great stuff. So guys, let me know in the comments below if you too have seen Get On Up. What do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you love it? Anyways guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!